Hey everybody. Random thoughts from the mountain. Recorded live as they bubble up and slip through pretty easily in my frontal lobe. Big brain censorship. Tired. Just woke up again. Decided to get out some ideas. Man, I really hate Bill Gates. Does anybody else feel that way? I'm pretty sure God also is not too pleased with that man, and probably has some plans for him. You know what, Bill? You're looking a little. He's got some liver spots. Looking a little old there, Bill. You know. I want to get right with God because you don't have much time left on this earth. And your science, all that money, billions and billions of dollars, is not going to save you. It's time to wake up. Wake up to the fact that you're mortal. You're not as special as you think you are, Bill. You're not God. Anyway, that was kind of a side note. That's where I'm looking kind of emo today. It's not intentional. It's just I haven't cut my hair for a few months. I woke up with a bad neck and a headache again. Ever since 2 days ago, I decided to change my front brakes and rotors, and it's kind of how it is after a long winter. You have to retrain your body how to move again because, well, the older you get, anyway, probably never used to be that way, but older you get, yeah, it's like you've been in weightlessness for the last 6 months, 7 months. I can't even remember when it started. So yeah, you gotta roll yourself off the stretcher and learn to crawl, learn to walk again, learn to use your arms, learn to lift heavy tools, and then by about mid to late summer you can kind of function again on all cylinders. Do I have, how many cylinders? How many cylinders do I got left? I don't know. I know my brain is definitely not firing on all microprocessors. I don't know. We're gonna need an upgrade, right? Isn't that the older you get, it's like, man, when do I get my next upgrade? That's right, it just downgrades from here on out. That sucks. Yeah, I brought up Bill. I'm working on another tribute to Bill Gates. Dude is such a psychopath, man. Like an article I read, it's like, when does the world need more proof that Bill Gates is a total psychopath, dangerous psychopath, and just how he's living out his delusions and his, conspiracy theories about the world and the climate and population, and he's got the money and the funding to make his nightmare of reality, his personal reality, and actual reality, to play it out on the world stage. This is how I think, I don't know, but when I get irritated when things make no logical sense, I tend to go to the Bible for explanation, and I think this is where we're at in this world. It's men thinking themselves gods we've reached such a level of technological advancement, and just people are drowning in wealth. I mean, it's insane how much money is out there. Like, with this crypto thing I pay attention to now and then, it's like, where do all these people get their money to dump into imaginary digital funny money? It's like, man, that's just your spending cash? You're just dumping, I don't know. So the world is a giant bubble. Everything is. The economy, everything is a giant bubble. And it's just, I think it's just being propped up to fail. It's got to fail eventually. There's, you cannot have the entire world go insane and expect it to last very long. Eventually, you have to reap what you sow, and certain principles in the Bible, like just weights and measures, which have completely been tossed out the window now. And the Bible, it lays blessings and cursings in front of God's people, and if we listen, then in the long run, which is what the Alpha and the Omega should be most interested in, is our long-term prosperity, not temporal gain, not whatever, sin for a season, not burning out rather than fading away kind of mentality. He's more interested in our long-term survival. I mean, eternity, right? Wants us to be fit for eternity and have his character so that we will get along together forever. Imagine that. I mean, most people can't get along in the same room for, a couple hours, let alone eternity. And it made me think of this world is just waxing worse and worse. It's getting worse and worse. And there's, God is merciful, but there will be a term limit to God's mercy, you could say. And when people reach such a level of evil that they and the way they raise their children are literally incapable, by choice, by free will choice, incapable of turning back, turning away from their wicked ways and turning to God for healing, for salvation. Anyway, I'm not preaching again, but this I don't know, man. The weather is so beautiful though. It's hot already up here. It's like you go from extreme cold to I was working outside. Might be getting some color. Might be just reflection of my shirt, but I was outside like all day yesterday, and the 2 days in a row actually, and after a while it's just like, man, it was getting hot. I had to walk around. This is t-shirt weather in the Rockies already. Captain's log, April 5th. Captain is not all there. Don't trust this captain to man the ship. Trust the heavenly captain. So I'm going to, I'm getting started on the gardening. I'm planning on doing some quick videos on that. Just, our process. I'm trying to streamline it as best as I can, because it's like a full-time job. If you at all expect to feed yourself, if you at all expect to eat from the garden during the summer, which is the only time it's developing, constantly. I mean, especially with us, we have to haul water. So it's like during the hot months, dry months, sometimes twice a week, I'm driving up to town and back hauling water. 2 large water tanks, about 500 to 600 gallons of water on the big whitey diesel. So yeah, I'm trying to streamline things as best as I can, and I don't know, I thought I'd share whatever insight. I'm by no means an expert. There's a lot I'm learning too, like watching videos. There's a lot to learn. It's a science. It's an art form that's been lost, and unfortunately so, right? Like they say, I don't know what's up with my hair, but like they say, was it World War II, the Victory Gardens, that was World War II, right? I can't recall right now, but it's just a constant flow of what's bubbling up, percolating. That's what's going on. I need to break out a percolator, actually. I'll show you some coffee I picked up, thanks to somebody, and their very generous donations. It is a science, and it's a lot to do about the soil. The soil is like the immune system of the plant. It's kind of like us and our guts and our healthy biomes, our healthy gut bacteria, or unhealthy. Something I was dealing with for about a week. I don't know what my problem was, but it's been better now. Like, I used to wake up every morning with a aching gut, and just almost the thought of eating, it got worse. And so, yeah, I'm no epitome of health. Don't get that misconception. But started drinking bitters after meals. Bitters, good stuff. In tea form, like a bitter chai. Not traditional chai, but with bitter herbs in it. I can't remember. My assistant prepared that for me. Shout out. Bitters right now, I'm about to have Ecuador. Good beans, man. But yeah, you get your gut unbalanced by too much coffee or alcohol or anything in excess, really. And man, it really affects my energy levels, or in fact they're still lower than they should be. And my insomnia has not gotten any better. Like, try to get to bed early at night, and I can't sleep. Let me show you this fancy bag of coffee, and then I'll call it quits, because I've been talking too long anyway. Probably everybody's shut off by now, but check this out. For one thing, I like their little slogan. Coffee, it's in our blood. Is in our blood. And, Dark Heart, Loveland, Colorado. They actually, I think it's Kova out of Oregon. Portland, Oregon, most likely. Does their roast for them. At one point I did approach them, and I'm like, hey man, you want to do some small batch local roast? I have a commercial size coffee roaster, and I don't know, I don't think he, just because I'm just some Joe Blow off the street, he didn't recognize my genius. And he's like, yeah, but we got these other deals with these big time West Coast companies. So, and it's probably, you know, at their level, I probably think the same thing if some kid walked in, right? But yeah, it's the weekend. I'm gonna try to get some work done. I'm still banned, for another at least a week. And then after that, I have to wait. It's like a month and a half after my ban till my next strike goes away. And so I'm just accumulating these freaking strikes, and the more you got, if you get 3 in a 90-day span, they say, then they take your channel down. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm debating whether or not I want to start up another channel. I don't know. What do you think about the name Report from Storm Mountain? Doesn't that sound kind of eerie, spooky? I know it sounds a little close to a Report from Cheyenne Mountain, I think it was. Very popular conspiracy book, but I don't know. We'll see. I might have to branch out there because they obviously got my channel on the crap list, and I don't get any views from YouTube anymore. I used to actually get some random views now and then, but not anymore. It just doesn't, never happens. So, and I've got like 462, I think, subscribes, but like the same amount of views. So obviously nobody is hearing about my latest premieres and uploads. And I guess there's a notification thing. If you see that, I'm still kind of a noob at this. So once you subscribe, you can click notifications and you'll actually see when I list videos, which is like, it should be a no-brainer. You'd think do that anyway. If you're subscribed to something, you might want to hear something about it now and then. But yeah, it's these little loops that YouTube makes you jump through, and you have to build like a really diehard audience, like it's willing to jump through like 10 hoops just to see your videos when they come out. Anyway, I babbled on long enough. Come out of Babylon, my people, be not a partaker in her sins. Third angel's message. It's pretty important in this day and age. Random thought number 50, I think. Plenty of coffee. There's plenty. See that color? The aromas right now, it's freaking amazing. Whew, definitely got some of that, what do they call it, baking spice. Is that one of the name of one of the Spice Girls? I think so. Baking spice. But yeah, so if you want your water, these little tips from the Mad Roaster, I used to call myself. Tip number 1, don't stick your camera lens over a stylish, what's this stuff called? Pyrex pot of hot water, because it, kind of gets a little, fogged up. Make sure the water is, so if you can't hold your finger in the water, Now this looks probably kind of gross by my hands. You know, my hands are always clean. Might have a little axle grease, but if you can't hold your tippy top of your finger in the water without immediately getting burned, then you might want to. Yeah, that was my stomach growling. You might want to kind of chill it down a little bit, because that will scald the beans, and trust me, it's not going to taste as good. It'll get all like super vinegary. Not vinegary, what am I talking about? It'll get like super acidic, and I'm trying to sound like a professional here. I was at one point in life, but it's a struggle anymore. It'll get really acidic, kind of bitter. I'm sure you probably recognized, kind of like a, I don't know, convenience store coffee that was like just left on the pot too long. Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, this is my favorite method. It's a drip method of coffee brewing, and yeah, got my little. I usually tend to fill it up. I don't quite fill it all the way up to the top. I don't drink quite that much coffee, but got my little ceramic. I like ceramic for containers. I'm pretty snooty, so snooty about flavor, taste, scent, smell. I've got, despite my apparently clogged up nasal passages right now, I've got a pretty superior sense of smell, you could say, and that's kind of why one thing that led me into coffee roasting was, yeah, that's actually a thing. I think actually when I was roasting, I looked this up, and it's actually, there's some science done on this about the differences, and somehow in some ways some people's perception of smell, which is key for taste, by the way. Some people just don't have as full a spectrum of scent perception, olfactory, as others, and so that, I've always wondered, why am I so weird? Why do I always smell things that other people don't? That's probably why. And it's a blessing and a curse, I can tell you that much. Some things cannot be unsmelled, so. And one of my worst dreaded scents is the smell of death. It's just, it's horrible. Total, what's that? The disgust mechanism, which is, for a reason. You're not supposed to be around death. It's not healthy. Despite what the Dark Age Church of Rome, despite their practices of building their churches on graveyards with catacombs underneath, storing dead bodies, because, there's no salvation outside the church, right? So you gotta literally be buried inside the church complex in order to make it into heaven, according to that belief system. But and they still, to this day, I saw a big church, huge church. In fact, I think I might have filmed some of it or took pictures. Man, that'd be cool to find that footage again, because it was super creepy. Dark church. It was in, what's the place called? It's like a mountain community in Arkansas Springs. Somebody in Arkansas will know what I'm talking about. Something Springs, northern Arkansas, right on the border with Missouri. Eureka Springs, okay. Huge church. There's this giant hotel like the Stanley in Estes, but bigger. Huge hotel on the mountainside. And a lot of really cool, that'd be a great place actually to do a show, because they got so much. Now you're just watching my coffee brew at this point, but I don't really feel like flipping the camera around. They got all these Victorian houses. It's really a neat, quaint little town. Turn of the century looking mountain, for Arkansas. Mountain town. What they consider the mountains. And I guess it's got a lot of kind of New Agers. It's kind of like Boulder in Colorado. It's got a lot of New Agey type people. But, burned out hippie type. But yeah, right next to that, right under, I think the giant hotel is this huge church, huge church, and it's got the Stations of the Cross. You do your little meditation, walking around the church, and there's all these saints everywhere, and there's like a giant Mary statue, and everybody's bowing down to Mary. I think it was even like Joseph and Mary and probably Jesus. Everybody's bowing to Mary. Unbiblical, by the way. But they literally have they look like little mail lockers, like you get the mail, post office, and they stick in the locker of cremated bodies that you can purchase. You can purchase a little slot to stick your dead loved one at this official Dark Age church. So they're still making money off of storing the bodies of loved ones. They're not doing the whole catacombs thing anymore. I'm surprised they don't do, maybe they do, maybe I just don't know about it. I'm surprised they don't put people on ice now. They have the church picks up the cryogenic business on the side. I mean, if they haven't thought of that yet, that is $1 billion idea right there. I mean, come on, guys. Can't give you all the ideas. I mean, I know you're stuck in the Dark Ages and you don't allow for free thought, but unless it comes from the church on high. By the way, does anybody know what the Holy See? It's SEE. I've always thought of that as in the context of the little horn in Revelation. Daniel, the little horn speaks great blasphemies and has eyes like a man. I always thought that it's like the legislative branch of the Vatican City. Basically the same thing, but there's Vatican City and there's the Holy See. The Holy See, SEE, if you look it up, and I was going to do a show on this possibly. Literally comes from the Latin word that means the seat. So Holy Seat. Vatican. Vaticanus Mons, Vatican Hill. Translates into Mountain of Prophecy. It's also based upon Vaticanus. It was a place. This isn't Latin. I think it's Etruscan is what it is. And I'll do a show on this later too, I'm sure, because this stuff fascinates me. The more you look into this longest lasting man-made institution on Earth that everybody seems to turn a blind eye towards. We're all worried about the globalist. This institution has been pushing towards globalism, pushing forward to globalism longer than any other institution. Thousands and thousands of years. So, and you look into it, wow, there's so much evidence. Bible's pretty clear, and they're pretty clear through their own symbolism. Drink a cup. Drink a cup. Take a sip. That's what I was trying to say. My stomach is already protesting. You protest too much, stomach. Wow. That is one good Dark Age brew right there. Anyway, Dark Age is Vaticanus. Comes from it's a Etruscan word, I think is what it was. Thanks, by the way. Good coffee. Meaning it was the hill it's she sits on 7 hills, classically scholars, atheistic scholars that study the Bible and Christian religion, have classically recognized the woman who sits on 7 hills is Rome, and they try to chalk this up to, John of Patmos, exiled to the island for his beliefs, he had to write in kind of encrypted language. But if you understand the Bible well enough, the symbolism makes sense. So that's how God is. He's not going to reveal these great secrets to people that, don't care for God, because what would be the benefit of that? And it just give them an advantage to work out their evil on the world stage. So, Jesus spoke in parables, and it was, I think, even said basically to blind those who weren't right at heart, I guess. That's a real paraphrase. But so Vaticanus Mons, the mountain that the Vatican sits on, the Vatican City, the smallest church state in the world, the only church state that America has relations with since Reagan started up the ambassador to Rome, which was prior to that was actually protested in this country because people realized different Christian organizations, Baptists, whatever, realized that this was a breach of church and state, right? And a horn in Daniel is it's a big long story. If you wear horns, if you wear a crown, if you're royalty, you wear a crown. What does a crown represent? It's got spikes on it. Horns. What is the animals? Where does like a deer or an elk or a buffalo or whatever, where do they get their strength from? And it ties all the way back to Nimrod in Babylon. He wrestled the bowl, and there's pictures of this in ancient buildings, engravings in stone. There's pictures of Nimrod wrestling with the bull. He's got like one hand on his horn, and he kills the bull. That's the Nimrod was the great. What is he? He's the city builder. He's the he built walls around all the cities. He's considered like one of the first who created civilization, right? So Nimrod symbol is a bull. People who consider themselves royalty or nobles, princes, kings, queens. That's where they got the concept of a crown, like a bull has horns. This is all documented, okay? I'm not just making this up, but I'll have to put this together on a later show, and maybe then you'll believe me. In Daniel, there are beasts, governments, and kingdoms, and they have horns, and that is usually they're kings of those kingdoms. Interestingly enough, the lamb-like beast, which I understand is America, has 2 horns without crowns. So it was the first beast that wasn't a monarchy. No divine right of kings, right? No titles of nobility. That's the unique. What made America so unique, and those 2 horns classically have been thought of as, in prophecy, Bible-believing Christian scholars, 2 horns were Protestantism and Republicanism. Those 2 horns had to be lobbed off in order for the dragon to take control of this country again. And lamb-like beasts in Revelations 13 speaks as a dragon. And how a beast or government or kingdom speaks is through its legislation. So more and more we're seeing legislation that conflicts with God's laws. And that's what ultimately the mark will come down to. It's do you want to worship the beast and his counterfeit man-made system? 666, number of a man, or do you want to worship God? Anyway, this coffee's good. Brain fuel. So I never got to it. Vaticanus, it was a mountain of soothsayer or divining. Makes sense, right? Remember that last podcast, divining serpent? So it's another definition is a Vatican is old woman of prophecy. And this is how amazing, my mind, God is. He leaves no question. If you just do a little gander, do a little look, do a little search. We have the internet, it's the information age. You can find all this stuff. You don't have to listen to me, but thanks for listening to me. I've attained this information for some reason, the way I see it. Retained it, actually remembered it. I can actually recall this stuff. It's amazing. I have moments of clarity. So yeah, that was, if you go to Europe, what is it? Luther Stupel, all these different old buildings that the Protestants, mind you, erected, carved into the side of these old buildings in Europe. You see the same imagery. You see all the kingdoms represented in Daniel, Revelation, and they always show that little horn with his little head popping out of it with little eyes as a man, and that they understood was the papacy, the smallest nation state in the world, with complete, it's a think of the advantage that they have. They're a religious institution, non-profit, right? They don't have to pay taxes to anybody. They are all, you can look this up too, it's the one true remaining monarchy of Europe. So everybody else plays by our rules, we're all these little democracies, whatever. And they have a totally different set of rules. And they are, by the way, the most secretive banking institution, Vatican Bank, on the earth. What are you doing, Meow Meow? You want in? Meow Meows. He's been outside a lot lately. He's wearing himself out. It's so nice. He's like stoked. Oh. Yeah, anyway, side notes. This is key information if you want to understand the world and who ultimately resides at the tippy top of that little pyramid with the eye on the top. Holy See, possibly. The little horn power speaks great blasphemy, sits in the temple of the Most High, according to Thessalonians 2. Hey, you got a big mouth. Declaring himself to be God. Vatican seat, or Holy See, holy seat, sits in the temple of the Most High, declaring himself to be God. No other Christian leader in the world can get away with saying that without being labeled a cult. Danger to society. But that system has it basically built into its legal structure. And go read some of those encyclicals if you haven't before, and some of those papal bulls. Those are even more interesting. Some of the pompous words from different popes that have come and gone. The infallible church, right? They never make mistakes because they're God on earth. So how could you make a mistake if you're God on earth? And Yeah. Why are we pouring taxpayer dollars into their churches and schools? And what did they get, like a $2 billion in Rona stimulus? Did any other denominations get that kind of money? So ultimately it comes down to what influences people the most. What influences the direction a country takes, the politics of a nation, is people's core belief systems. And the Founding Fathers, I believe, understood this, and that's why the very first amendment was the separation of church and state concept, right? You don't make laws. You're such a bad kitty right now. Such a bad kitty. You don't make laws to establish a religion. You don't make laws to abolish a religion. Good. Go outside. So it's pretty important stuff, folks, and we hardly ever talk about this, especially on the right, the Republican side. You know, the liberals, they're not really a threat. The atheists, the nihilists, the godless, materialists, consumers, they're not really a vital threat to our liberty. The threat is those who want to impose their will on our will. Freedom of conscience, that's the very same issue that kicked off the Reformation. Martin Luther, here I stand, I can do no more. He was standing on his God-inspired, in my opinion, but on his personal interpretation of Scripture, which was like a no-no back then. You can't have your own private interpretation that flies against the church dogma. That's a no-no, because you undermine the power of the church. And you know what got Jesus in trouble? Same thing. He undermined the authority of the religious leaders of the day, scribes and the Pharisees. And who was this guy? He didn't have any classical training. Same thing will be repeated on a world stage, outlined in the book of Revelation with God's people. And the world trying to use force to, get everybody on the same page. Let's all worship the same way. Even if it flies in the face of God's clear commandments. And that's what we have to know, all this stuff. If we don't want to be deceived, if we want to remain truthful to, we have to know these issues. And I don't think God's going to leave us all in the dark guessing, like a lot of people seem to think. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it'll come. We don't know who the Antichrist is. Someday it'll be revealed. It's like, no, it's pretty clear. If you study your history at all, it's pretty dang clear. Anyway, I've talked too long. I'm raiding the fridge. I'm hungry. Can only drink so much coffee on an empty stomach. But thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. The audience. I promise next time I'll look a little more cleaned up. But I literally, like I said, just woke up. So gotta get these ideas out. Otherwise, they're gone as soon as they formulate. As soon as they percolate, they evaporate. So I gotta get them out somehow.